Hello and good evening, everyone. Hope you're ready for some more reading. As you can tell, I've got my therapy friends with me. So without further ado, shall we begin? The Secret of Success. My name is Matthew. Some years ago, I became the British #1 table tennis player. I even represented Great Britain in the Olympics, which is worthy of a fist bump, right? I think so. I think it's worthy of a fist bump. So, Matthew, that's a fist bump, isn't it? You get one from me, mate. Now, it would be very easy for me to pretend this was down to a natural talent. Could boast I was born with lightning quick reactions, but that would be a fib. Yes, when I won the crown, I had a reputation for speed, gutsiness, and quick wits, but I cannot honestly say that I arrived in this world with a ping pong bat in my hand. My background is as unremarkable as I described. I was very average, an okay kid, but with nothing to hint that I could become an elite sports person. That suggests that I could be awesome. Truth is, I had to learn the skills I needed to become the best. Not only that, but I had to start from scratch. Yes, my parents were table tennis fans, which gave me a small head start over my friends, but I had to practice with passion and dedication to learn my skills. It was hard work with a lot of setbacks on the way, but I gained valuable lessons from every moment. So let's forget those type of stories that we hear about people being born gifted or naturally talented. When it comes to explaining how someone got really good at something, I'm here to reveal the truth. And the fact that it's possible for anyone to get really good at almost anything. And that includes you. Yes, you. So let's break down the factors that earned me the crown as the table tennis prince. And I'm warning you now, it's all about grit, not glamour. Number 1. The table. Parents are still unable to explain why they decided to fill their garage with a full-size table tennis table. A super deluxe model with gold lettering, since you ask. Even so, I can be sure there weren't many kids that had one, which gave me a head start. It didn't make me instantly better than anyone else though. I simply started practicing earlier than most. As time went by, people began to say I was a genius with the bat and that I had a natural talent. But they hadn't seen the table in my garage. And they definitely hadn't seen how many rainy Sundays and evenings after school I spent in there, tirelessly batting the ball back and forth in an effort to improve. It makes you think, doesn't it? Is there someone awesome that you think is just naturally brilliant at something? Wonder what they got in their garage. Makes you think, doesn't it? Number 2. My older brother. My brother is awesome, and luckily he is also hugely competitive. True story, he used to make me play snooker with 3 balls missing from the table. That way, if I beat him, he could tell his friends that he hadn't really lost. He reckoned it wasn't a natural match if some of the balls were missing. Crazy times. But it wasn't just snooker, he wanted to be the best at table tennis too. And he was awesome. So, he became my ready to go at any moment kind of practice partner. He was as available as a 24-hour drive-through. So with a table in the garage, we would duel before school, spend hours in the evenings whipping the ball back and forth. I can't lie, I secretly wanted to dominate each match and leave my brother begging for mercy. I have no doubt he wanted to do the same to me. So we battled it out together, testing each other's reflexes and experimenting with new moves. Without realising it, he and I put in thousands of hours of practice, and it showed in our razor sharp skills. Number 3. Teacher with a passion for ping pong. Chances are you can name a teacher who loves their subject. When they're all fired up about sharing their knowledge, or know how to make you laugh as you learn, their enthusiasm is infectious, and before you know it, you're enjoying it as much as they are. At school, Mr. Charles was a good teacher, but it was his passion for sport that had the biggest impact on me. He had bright eyes, a black beard, and a wonderful way of encouraging you to give it your all. Life is all about being the best you can possibly be, he said. Sorry, the best you can possibly be, not blee. That's just words, blee, I don't think. Not in English, anyway. While he ran almost all of the after school clubs, it was table tennis that meant the most to him. He was ran to be one of the nation's top coaches and a talent scout on the lookout for players with potential to learn and improve. It meant that he encouraged anyone who showed the slightest interest in the sport to check out the local table tennis club. Its name was Omega. Number 4. The local club. Imagine a super exclusive centre for the finest table tennis players in the country, and then forget it. Despite having Mega in its title, Omega was anything but. It was pretty much just a run-down hut with a couple of tables. It was very basic, freezing cold in winter and sweltering in summer, but a magnet for young players like me. Once you had demonstrated that you knew a chop from a forehand slice, that's technical table tennis shots rather than cuts of raw meat in case you were concerned. You would be granted the ultimate honour, a key to Omega. This wasn't just any key, but one that opened the door day or night to the table tennis palace. Or palace read shack of my hometown. In other words, what he's trying to say is that although it was a palace inside, on the outside it really wasn't a nice looking building. But you could probably say that about a lot of buildings though. I'd like to say that I had the honour of being the only key holder, but in reality most of the kids in the street around mine also had one. As a result, the local area boasts an unusually high number of prize-winning young table tennis players. Now here's something to consider. When I played table tennis for England, many of the top players in the country, men and women, came from my street in Reading. That is Reading, by the way, in which I think is Berkshire, just outside London. It's also on the Elizabeth line. I'll put the name of the place up now and it'll be followed by a map, quickly showing where Reading is, just in case you're curious. Not the surrounding area, mind you, but my actual street. That is quite weird, don't you think? About as weird as the whole cast of Harry Potter being born in the same cul-de-sac in Chelmsford. Or is it? They weren't, by the way. The entire cast was made up of many people from different places. You see, it all comes down to how you become awesome at stuff, which is what this book is all about. Lots of people seem to think that you need to be born with certain gifts or talents, but if that is true, why were so many of the gifted and talented table tennis players born in my ordinary street in Reading? It doesn't make any sense. It only starts to make sense once you realise that it wasn't their gifts or talents that were making all these kids so much better at table tennis than the kids 10 streets away. Instead, it was their access to Omega, to Mr. Charters, and all of the hours they spent practicing together. Quite simply, the kids 10 streets away didn't do that. Now, table tennis might not be your thing, and that's okay. We're all drawn to different interests and hobbies. At the same time, rest assured that this book isn't simply about getting gold medals or excellent exam grades. Oh no. Whether you want to master street magic, pull off awesome skateboard stunts, or bake the perfect cupcake, knowing that you don't have to be born gifted at these things to be good at them is really important. Once you know that you can develop your skills with practice, determination, and an annoyingly competitive older brother, the last one is optional by the way, it just makes a whole lot more sense to give something a try. So whatever you want to be awesome at, this book is here with strategies, hints and tips to fulfilling your potential and making it happen. All you have to do is take one step at a time, beginning by turning the page. Now, I know what you're thinking, people. I'm not a child, nor a teenager. My time for practice is gone, but you know what? It's not. It really isn't gone, okay? Yeah, you're going to find it harder, but we still have the potential in us to do great things. It's like me with the German I'm trying to learn. See, the only way I'm going to get better is by keeping it up and putting in the hours, and obviously I can only do so much on Duolingo. I mean, I will eventually need to find a proper class. Never did find one. I mentioned a few times I'm going to try and find like a night school or something that done something like that, and I never did. But 26, the new year, you never know. Might find something. Anyway, the point is that despite our age, I mean, I'm 41. My best years are behind me, but my best years could still be ahead of me too, if I do things right. And if I follow the advice of Matthew Syed, I may even be able to do something. Or even get good at something. You never know. Chapter 2. What's holding me back? Did you know that 2/3 of kids in school today will end up doing a job that hasn't even been invented yet? That is truly mind-boggling. And do you know what else? On average, you'll probably have at least 17 different jobs in your lifetime. But don't worry, you won't have to do them all at the same time. The world around us is changing so fast. It's no wonder that we sometimes feel anxious about how we fit into it. We question whether we are smart enough. We get a bit scared to have a go in case we look stupid. Actually, that's me, that is. I'm always the one that says, nah, I don't want to do that. I'll look like an idiot if I try it. Actually, do you know how many times I've actually said that? I know I make a big thing about it. I don't care how people look at it, how people think about it, but I do really. Just that certain things, when I say I don't care, I resign myself. Other things I've already signed myself to the opinion existing. But other things, I don't. I spent my entire life being a freaking coward and hiding away from things. That's why I'm doing these vlogs now in this little room. So I'm a freaking coward. But you know what? It's 2026. That attitude has to die. Now I know I made that video saying don't kill your inner child, and I don't intend to kill that inner child, mind you, but I've got to rein him in, because at the moment he's at the damn controls. And he's pressing the button that says, don't do that, don't do that. That's scary. You know? I've got to rein him in and take charge. It won't be easy, but you know what? I can do it. Do you know why? Because I am awesome, just like the book says. And you know what? You, yes you, especially you, you're awesome too. You're all freaking awesome, alright? You're all awesome, okay? And each one of you has the potential to do something. You have the potential to do stuff, okay? Sometimes it is tempting to quit before we've even tried having a go at something. That is me. Really is. Lots of anxieties and worries can hold us back. So let's take a look and see how we can overcome them. Because it's good to be ready, prepped, confident, on fire. We need to find our confidence to deal with all the changes and challenges that life can bring. But the choice is yours. As well as standing on podiums and having my picture in the newspapers, the journey I went on, and I don't mean the time I got on the wrong bus and ended up in Bergen, Germany rather than Bergen, Norway. More on that story later. This changed me in so many ways. Here are some of the things I learned along the way. No one is born with a table tennis bat in their hand, a calculator in their head, or Mandarin as their second language. Getting good at something takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. In fact, especially not overnight, as I am usually asleep, and so are most people. Being awesome at something takes time. Becoming a world champion takes even longer. Everyone that learns to become good at something has made loads, and I mean loads of mistakes. Here's an example. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. That, however, is not Matthew Syed. That is the words of Michael Jordan, A fairly successful basketball player who was never put off by failure, apparently. Good for him. Does it make you think? It's making me think. Anyway, back to our list. No one wants to admit how hard they practice. So don't believe anyone who tells you they're effortlessly brilliant or clever. They are very probably lying. Actually, I'll say they are lying. One thing I've learned is that people seem great at things, but it's only because they've done what this guy's done. They put in the hours to practice. No one is naturally, you can be naturally talented, but it doesn't guarantee how good you'll be in the end. Because it's only a head start. It's like being the child of a famous actor. It'll get you auditions, but it doesn't mean you'll be any good at acting in the first place. You just got that little head start, you know? I don't instantly give up when things get hard. Just because something is difficult doesn't mean that I'm rubbish and should stop trying. Often means I haven't found the right strategy, the equivalent of Omega and Mr. Charters quite yet. I can't be good at everything. There are definitely a lot of things I could be better at if I actually practiced them. I tried to mend my skateboard once. I fixed the kingpin, but 2 wheels fell off. DIY skateboard mechanics are not recommended. So if you are listening, don't do stuff like that unless you actually know what you're doing. However, there are only 24 hours in a day. Of course, I'm still as likely as the next person to sleepily put my pants on back to front first thing in the morning. I'm only human after all, but I still find it amazing to think that small decisions we make about whether or not to give up on something difficult can have such a big impact on our lives. It would have been very easy in my case to have turned my back on table tennis because I was rubbish at it. And believe me, I was bad. But I didn't. I set my mind to it, persevered, improved my skills and set off on my journey to become the very best I could be. See, I'm feeling called out by this book. And this is true. I am kid A, kid average. I wasn't good at things, so I gave up pretty quickly and chose to distract myself with other things. And that's the thing. That's how I got to where I am now. I got to where I am by really not doing stuff and giving up because I found things hard. It's like about 20 years ago, I was trying to learn Cantonese. I found it very hard. And my tutor, who was just a student, I was paying £5 an hour to at the time, was getting very impatient with me. And I have mentioned this before. And they did essentially recommend that I don't do this anymore because I wasn't good enough. And partially at the time, they were partially right because I wasn't putting in the hours. I said I really wanted to do this thing, but I wasn't really willing to put in the hours for it, you know? I was willing to put in, say, an hour or so, 2 or 3 hours a week, but that was it. You know, but to get good at something like that, you got to keep going again and again and again. You know? Do you know how my life would have turned out if I kept up those lessons? I don't know. I could be here right now doing this, only with a better skill at with a language skill. Or I could have, done stuff. I could have become near fluent. Could have gotten a job in another country. Could have met someone. Could have gotten married, had kids, gotten divorced. She could have turned her wings against me. Or I could have been happy. Or I could have been miserable. See, now, there's one thing I've learned when it comes to regrets. And the more I sometimes think about them, and I don't recommend you do it, but you do. The thing is, I know that whatever decision I made, I would end up thinking about, what if I'd made this other decision? How much better would I have been? Or how much worse could it have been if I'd done that other thing instead? And the truth is, you're never going to know because time travel is not a thing. You can speculate, and boy do I speculate. But the one conclusion I come to when I am level-headed is that I'll always be miserable in whatever happens, okay? Until I sort these problems out, okay? No matter how good my life may be, I'll still be depressed. I'll still have the feelings of anxiety and not being good enough. You know, I could have won the lottery and be a millionaire, and I still have these feelings. And I probably would have suppressed them until last year when I started to flog. Although I had no more money, I suppose I could have paid for a therapist. They might have helped me with stuff. Or they might not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, really. Because speculating will only get you so far. The fact is, the best timeline to live is the one you're in now. Because that's the one you have control over. The others you don't. Now back to the book. Now where was I? So before we look at ways to take on our new challenges, let's look at what might be holding us back. What might make us give up when things get a bit hard. I'm going to tell you from my experience that overcoming these obstacles can only make you stronger. Nope, I'm no good at that. The world can be a big confusing place for sure, but our own minds and bodies are even more confusing. For a start, did you know that there are more life forms currently living on your skin than there are people on the planet? Supporting that ecosystem is a challenge in itself. And that's before we even begun to try and find our place in the world of social media, exams and friendship groups. So starting something new or trying something hard can seem like a whole pile of extra effort. We've all been there. When faced with something tricky, it's just so easy to go, nah, in order to avoid giving it a shot and risk the shame of failing badly. But you're never going to fulfill your potential if you're scared to even try. So to understand why we do this, let's take a closer look inside the human brain. Imagine if you could actually do that. Imagine if you could really look inside the slimy, jelly-like mind of your friends. Physically, the human brain is extremely fragile. It weighs the same as a large cantaloupe melon, and has the texture of squishy minced beef. I'm thinking you might not want spaghetti bolognese or melon for dinner after this. I don't. I know that much. But from an emotional perspective, our brains can be pretty fragile too. Sometimes it's our thoughts and worries that can sabotage us and hold us back. So what runs through your mind when you think about trying something new? Something you know might push you out of your comfort zone and be a bit hard. Right, Bill, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to go through these reasons next time. Okay? So I want you to have a good think, okay? And if you are listening, then here's the thing. I'm not just saying this to drive engagement, okay, to make the channel more popular, but write down in the comments a decision that you regret now. Something that you regret in life, okay? I'm not talking massively, okay? I'm talking about a harmless decision like me giving up the Cantonese, you know? Something that could have turned your life around, you know? And given you a whole new perspective on life. So I think about that sometimes. You know, I could have gone to the Far East and had a job. As I said, I could have gone married, had the kids. Or I may not have done. Or I may have just gotten a job and sat in an apartment and been by myself because I'm too scared to talk to people most of the time. I wonder if that would have made me less frightened to talk to people. It's hard to tell. Truth is, we'll never know, but it's something I think about. And if you have any decisions like that, where you think your life could have been significantly different, let me know in the comments. You never know. I'd love to hear your stories and reflections on this. And yes, I am aware this is a kid's book, okay, but even at our age, this still applies. Okay? These philosophies still apply. So it's worth looking into. And if you are a younger person, say in your early 20s, then I'll say this now as a 41-year-old. Use your time wisely, okay? Because before you know where you are, you'll be 41, okay? You'll be thinking, where the frick did all this time go? And yes, I know everybody says this. Okay, every older person's probably told you this before. Okay? But the sad fact is they're right. The time goes like that. Before you know where you are, you're my age now. And you'll be telling younger people and they won't be believing you either. So, Until next time, people, please, sincerely, don't give up on yourselves, alright? Don't give up on yourselves, okay? Because you are amazing. You are awesome. You are lovable and you are brilliant, okay? So next time, please take care of yourselves, okay? Bye.